Oh, yeah. How are we doing, soaks and folks and friends of soaks and folks? Welcome to another episode of How You Been with Brett DeMott. I, of course, am your fearless leader, Brett DeMott. After a 1 week absence, back in the cockpit at DeMott Studios, screaming into the mic, because, folks, that's what I do. It's my identity, folks. I got nothing else besides this. And ain't that a little bit sad? No! It's not. I'm happy, folks. It's been a rough couple weeks, though, as you all know. I've been on trial due to me getting caught doing vigilante stuff as Coyote Man. And it's been a up and down roller coaster ride. And some days good, some days bad. Have I been able to focus on my art? No. And this is a frustration for me. A guy who recently really found his artistic finger. I just been consumed by the whole trial, folks. But we're going to get through it like we've gotten through everything else in our whole life. Because our life ain't been easy, folks. We all know that. Everybody out here's had trials and tribulations. Some more tribulations than others. And I am not unlike all of you. But, folks, thank you, as always, for tuning in to another episode of How You Been. Very excited for my guest today. As you all know, I am quite the musician, a bit of a drummer. If you couldn't tell by my exquisite air drumming at the top of the episode, I'm quite a drummer. And I'm very excited for you all to meet a good friend of mine. He and I went to an adult band camp a few years ago. That's where we met and became pretty good friends. Spimi Hednrix. He's going to be here in just a little bit. We'll catch up about all that stuff. We'll see how he's been. We all know how I've been. I just want to say, when I said, could someone come and be a sketch artist at my trial, I did not expect so many artists to show up. So, we're going to dip into the drawings. We're going to start the drawings very early in the episode because I want to do a couple of them. Because if I'm ever going to get through all these submissions, I'm going to need a couple days. So, without further ado, here, let's see. I gotta figure out. Here, hang on. Let me figure out how to do this. I gotta figure it out. All right, hang on. Here, where are you? There we are. Here we go. Okay. So, we're gonna switch over here. So, as I said, it's been a very eventful couple of weeks. These first drawings come from a very talented sketch artist whose work you may have seen on the internet. He's known around here as Outer City Matt. So this, of course, came from what has become known as the Hulk outburst, which I think is a little bit on the nose to all the newspaper writers who've been writing about this, okay? So anyway, I took the stand I don't want to show you the pictures because I think it'll spoil what happened yet. I'll show them to you in a second. I took the stand to plead my case, and I started getting a little snappy with the judge. And the judge pulled out a tactic that I didn't appreciate, and I'll admit it right here on the stream that I did not deal with it in the best way that I could. But I want to tell you one thing. I don't like how this judge is letting all the bailiffs in my case cover their faces. It ain't fair. Because I don't know who these guys are. But anyway, so this is being referred to. I can't remember what I said it was referred to, but it's becoming called the Hulk freakout. And here it is. So this is what happened. So I'm on the stand. I'm just doing my thing. You can see right here, I'm just doing my testimony. And the judge, I object to the question, and the judge says, you can't object. You're the person on the stand. Only your lawyer can object. And I say, I am my own lawyer, motherfucker. And so he pulls out his little spray bottle, and he gives me a couple little spritzes. And admittedly, I freaked out. I put on a Hulk hand that I had. It's a stress ball for me. And I lost it. And then these two bailiffs with their SpongeBob masks on, which I don't even know if you can see them because I'm in the way. They come and they take me out of the courtroom. And they call an emergency recess. And I'm sitting there. I'm like, what the shut up. And don't pay attention to my nipples in these pictures. Just don't pay attention to those. They're nothing. There's nothing wrong with my nipples. It has nothing to do with my button-down shirt being too cheap and rough and rubbing my nipples raw. That's not what you're seeing here. Okay? And I would ask that anyone who comes to the court to do a sketch of what's going on, please keep in mind, did I just get disconnected again? We don't like it when I get disconnected. We do not like it. Am I back? This is freaking killing me. Please stop. Dear Internet, stop fucking up. What I was trying to say is please, if you're going to come and draw drawings, try to please draw me in the most positive light possible. I have a lot riding on this, and for images to make it out into the world that don't look good, it wouldn't be good for me. So please just remember that. Okay? If you're going to do a drawing, make me look good. Okay. So now that's one of them, but there's more. So we're going to do one more today. And this one comes from, let me see. Okay, so this actually comes from the next day. I filed a complaint with the court. I said, I don't think this judge likes me. It ain't fair what this judge has been doing to me. It ain't fair. So I need a new judge. We got to do a new judge. We just have to. It's not fair. It's not fair how I've been treated. And so, thankfully, my request was granted. And so, this comes for the next day when I retook the stand and I started doing my cross-examination of myself. And so here you'll see me on a stand with my favorite judge, Judge Judy, who I was able to contact and get her on the bench. And here, of course, is me trying to prove that I'm not, in fact, a coyote by showing what an actual coyote would look like if he was at a fancy dinner. I think that's what I was trying to show here. I was showing that I'm not a coyote because this is what a coyote would look like if they were out at a fancy dinner. So just know that's what we were going for. And Judge Judy, while normally she's the type of person who ain't having it, per se, she really let me get away with a lot. This went on for quite a while. So thank you to Judge Judy for showing up when I asked her to and allowing me to get out my full coyote defense. So that's two of them, folks. I got more. And the trial is still ongoing. So next week, we'll look at a couple more of these. If you want to come to one of the days of the trial and throw a sketch together, you are more than welcome to. You can send it to me at howyoubenshow@gmail.com, and I will eventually get to all of them. It just might take a minute, because as we know, the trial is long. The trial is going to be long. It's going to be at least another... Currently, it will be at least another 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 more weeks. So, if you'd like to come and do another picture, do it. And the trial might then be a week longer, depending on how many more pictures get sent in. But folks, enough about the trial. I think it's just about time for you all to meet my good friend Spimi. He's a great dude. Very excited for you all to meet him. So I'm going to jump to a quick break. Hopefully my internet stops being a piece of shit. And I will be right back with my friend Spimi Hednrix. So, BRB. Oh yeah, folks. Quick break, as usual. Thank you all, everyone, for sticking it out. You know, I know it's tough sometimes. You get antsy when you don't know how long the break's going to take. But it didn't take long. And folks, I'm going to tell you, I can't wait to introduce you all to my friend, Spimi Hednrix. This guy is one of the coolest people I've ever met in my whole life, and I think the second you see him, you're going to think the same thing that I did. So, folks, without further ado, welcome to How You Been, my friend, Spimi Hednrix. Spimi, what's up, man?
Hey, Brett, hey, man, how's it going, man? How's it going, buddy?
Oh, it's so good to see you, man. You don't look any different than you did the day that I first met you, man. Holy shit, you're looking good.
Well, that's good to say. Well, man, the music keeps me young, man. The music keeps me young.
That is true. I mean, it's truer for you than it is for me. Obviously, you still play more music than I do. I haven't had a chance to play in a while, so you could tell that the days haven't caught up to you in the way that they caught up to me.
Oh, Brett, man, you got to pick up those instruments again, man. That's all I mean, that's the fountain of youth. Anybody wants to know the fountain of youth? That's what it is. Those people like me, Keith Richards, Mick Jagger, we all continue to look like we're in our 40s. You know what I mean?
Yes. Classically, Keith Richards is a person who still looks very young. That's what everybody looks at him while he's shredding on that guitar and almost falling over under the weight of his instrument, and they say, this guy looks spry, like a child almost. It's insane.
It's the energy of the music, man. It's the energy of the music.
Man, Spimi, I tell you, it's so good to see you. I ain't talked to you in a little bit, but I want to start off this with the same way I start off every episode and just ask you the simple question, Spim. How you been?
Brett, how much time you got?
We got about 40 minutes. So
okay, well, that's a nice little album. That's a nice little album size. So I guess I could give you my whole story. No, I've been doing really good, man, since the last time we met at camp, man. Just still out there grinding on the road,
Oh yeah.
Doing some stuff. Right now I'm staying in in this backspace in my grandma's place right now. Cause when you're a guy that's on the road all the time, it's like, you don't got time to like keep up with landlords and type of stuff. So you want to be able to be free.
Yeah, and that's honestly that's great that you're staying with your grandma's house. And I'll say this: you were staying there when we knew each other. So this is sort of like seems to be a semi-permanent situation for you.
No. I mean, it's interesting that you say that. It is funny how everything comes full circle. That's actually a song I'm kind of working on right now. Everything comes full circle, But at that time before I had came to camp, I was kind of like a no good Nick, just aimless, doing stuff that like rock stars who don't know they're rock stars yet do.
Right. You were
taking stuff off back of a truck.
Yeah, I was gonna say
getting into bar fights.
Yeah, I was gonna say you were notorious for walking into bars, not having a single drink, and just starting a fight with the first man who looked at you.
Off top. Sometimes it wouldn't even take me 2 steps in, like right in. Somebody just want to walk out of the bar.
Sometimes you would just fight. You would just punch the doorman.
And I'm just, and it's in there. You know what I mean? Because that was that rock star energy. I just didn't know it yet. So then at the time I was staying with my grandma, and just now, because now I'm a rock star,
right?
Now I gotta stay with her because, yeah. Because
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Now you say you're a rock star. I know you do have a website. I check up on it every now and then. I check in to see if you got tour dates or anything like that. And I noticed obviously nobody's been touring for the last year or so with everything going on in the world.
Man, this COVID, man, it's been tearing through, man. It's like everybody, keeping everybody a little bit down, man.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing. I like things that are 19, but not this COVID. You know what I mean?
Okay. Be careful.
Rock star stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think you don't have to embody every rock star stereotype to be a rock star. Spimmy, you know that you don't have to.
You don't look like this if you don't embody the rock star spirit. You know what I mean? Every crevice. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I do. But obviously, throughout all this, not being able to actually go on tour or anything like that, obviously you're keeping the music in your blood. I'm assuming. How are you managing to perform? Are you making any money off of music these days, or what's going on with that stuff?
It's been really I will say it's been really tough. My grandma's really came into the clutch a lot this year. Because before COVID, I didn't really need her as much, except to make sure to keep the space open for me.
Right.
But other than that, like I would be able to kind of figure out ways to get food or drinks or or prophylactics in case I had like a lady friend over or two, rock star. But But because of this COVID stuff, I haven't, I haven't really been able to kind of do a lot of the stuff that I've been doing.
Right.
And being in this little space back here is kind of tough because I can't even really perform. Like I know a lot of people doing stuff online.
Right.
I can't really do stuff online because I only got the one plug back here. So I got to plug up the computer. I can't be on the computer and then try to play electric and all this stuff.
Wait, so you only have a single power outlet in your grandmother's house?
Right. Yes, only a single power outlet.
And I remember, it's funny that you say that because I remember you at adult band camp. You were the guy. You were the guy who had the pedal board that was like sort of like 4 feet by 2 feet, had like 2 or 3 different power strips. You were rocking every kind of effect you could ever have. You actually blew the breaker at the whole camp one time.
Oh no! Well, that's the legend. That's the legend. But I'm still saying I don't know who did it because it took a lot to get that power back up, and everyone was mad. And so I'm not saying who did it.
Yeah, they had to cancel the big recital at the end of the camp because the circuits blew and they couldn't replace them, and everybody was looking to you, and you were standing there with holding a power strip that was just covered in sort of ash and soot as if it had exploded and lit on fire. You had fraying cords all around you, and you still insisted that it wasn't your fault.
Right. Because we don't know. We don't know. I mean, I think that was my soot and ash pedal. But but I can't remember because I got so many pedals over the years.
Yeah, you have that soot and ash pedal. That's it. You were one of the first guitarists I've ever seen who has pedals that don't do effects for your guitar. They do like practical special effects for the room. Like you step on a pedal and it shoots confetti out everywhere. Or soot and ash in this case.
Like, look, look, I embody what it means to be a rock star. Spimi Hednrix, is a name that, when people come to see, they won't forget.
No.
Like, there's nobody like Spimi Hednrix. There's nobody who even remotely comes close, sounds like him, has a name like him, does music like him.
Exactly.
Like, Spimi Hednrix is a one of one.
Yeah, I mean, you will never see.
That makes me so mad.
I
just wish I could just rip in. I just wish I could rip into something right now.
Oh man!
I just wish I could rip into something right now.
Now wait, hang on a second. Is that the guitar? If I remember correctly, on the first day of band camp, is that the guitar that you did that insane rock and roll version of the Star Spangled Banner on? That was just the talk of the whole camp.
Brett, I mean, it was, and I will say this: it was the talk of the whole camp. But I kind of got the powers that be kind of got upset with me because there was so many people from around the world at the camp that, I just came to camp and just started doing it. I cranked my amp all the way up to 11, and I just started playing it, And there was a lot of other people from other countries who, kind of felt like I was being a little bit nationalist.
Right.
Yeah, well, that's what they said. But I'm just saying, like, look, this is where I'm from, and this is how you're going to learn.
Right. And then I remember at the end of it, you started sort of bashing the guitar on the stage, and then you grabbed the microphone and you said, no one's ever seen anybody do anything like this, and no one will ever see anyone do anything like this ever again. I am Spimi Hednrix, a guitar god.
Right. Oh man, just to be that young and just visionary about where I was headed, because mind you, at the time I was still relatively unknown.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. And all of us were, and
so
that we should
come out and just
we should get into a little bit of what this adult band camp is, because I think a lot of people are like, adult band camp, what the heck is this? And basically, it's kind of like, how middle-aged men will go and do these like all-star sports camps where they'll go play baseball with Major League Baseball players and all things like this, or they'll go and they'll watch like they'll do scrimmage games with basketball players or whatever, to sort of live out this like sort of fantasy life that they never got a chance to do because they're boring middle-aged people. Well, this adult band camp was a thing that you could go to, and it was pretty expensive. It was a 2-week thing, and you pay a couple $1,000s. It's room and board. They promise a live talk back with Joe Bonamassa, who is a virtuosic guitar player that my friend Bob Mackey really loves. Who is my producer's dad, and he just comes out and just rips, and then looks out into the crowd and says, "One day you guys could be this good." That's his whole deal.
Right. I mean, I can tell you right now, he ripped, but I felt like, even though at the time I couldn't rip like he ripped, I felt like inside I could.
Yeah.
You remember when I challenged him?
I was going to say, you walked up onto the stage with your axe and you unplugged his guitar.
It was with this guitar. It was with this guitar.
It was that guitar right there?
Because it was his guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was his guitar. I picked it up. I challenged him. And, a lot of people say, and this is the thing about camp, because there's a lot of people who, like, and for your listeners, I want you guys to hear this. There's a lot of people in your life who don't want you to succeed.
Oh, yeah.
They think that you can't succeed. And they want to make you feel like you're nothing, like they feel like they are.
Mm.
So a lot of people said, I lost.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people said, I lost by miles. A lot of people at that camp said, I didn't even deserve to be touching a Bonamassa guitar. Well, here I am today with this Bonamassa guitar that I never gave back, saying that you're wrong, and I won. Still, I won. He knows it, even though he won't admit it, and I'm excited.
A lot of people would probably say, just because you grabbed the guitar and ran away from someone, and ran away so fast that they couldn't catch you, doesn't mean you beat them in whatever sort of guitar contest you were trying to compete in. But I'll say this right now. If the other person can't catch you and can't do their half of the contest, then I think you're a winner by default.
This is why me and Brett connected immediately at the camp. Like it's like we saw eye to eye. We knew exactly the things that we wanted, and we knew it then. Yeah. Brett always talk. He was always talking. And look what he does.
Look what I do now. It's all I do now. Do you remember the first day that we met each other, Spim?
It was, I remember. It was in the, after I did the Star Spangled Banner thing. And I got a little bit of a talking to. I went to the cafeteria to see what the thing was on, and I remember seeing you because somebody had a potato wedge in it on the ground, and when you walked in and slipped on the potato wedge and made a big loud sound, and I looked, because I heard it, and I looked at it, and I said, "Hey, man, I think you got a good voice," and then that's when we.
Yeah,
and that's when we kind of started.
I slipped on a potato wedge, a classic thing to slip on, a cooked piece of potato. I stepped on it, slipped, and just so happened to kind of hit like one of those like, ah! And I hit it, and it was just nice. It sounded like as good as the guy from Crazy Town. I remember you said that. You said, "Hey man, your voice is as good as the guy from Crazy Town." And I said, shut up. No way, dude.
I think, I did. I said that, and I was like, I think your voice is as good as Shifty from Crazy Town. You said, and obviously you're being very modest, and you blushed because you knew that was the ultimate praise. But after that, we were fast friends.
I remember when everybody heard you say that, I remember the shock that spread over the cafeteria, because all anybody at this band camp was trying to hear the whole time we were there was that they were as good as Shifty Shellshock from Crazy Town. That's all any of us wanted.
Right.
We just wanted to be compared to our favorite singer, Shifty Shellshock from Crazy Town.
and it's crazy because the first day you got it. The first day I found Shifty, and we were just jamming out for the rest of the camp.
Yeah, man. I mean, listen. I think I love Crazy Town just about as much as anybody else in the world, and it really gave me the confidence, because I'll tell you how it was for me at this band camp. I've never been the kind of guy who could just go out on a limb and introduce myself to people. That's not my bag. You know, I'm not a extrovert per se, and so I was at this adult band camp being really scared to introduce myself to people. So I was honestly walking around like not really feeling comfortable, not going up saying hello. But then the second I slipped, I lost all of that came out of my head, and all I was thinking about is, oh, I'm about to hurt my butt. This is going to hurt when I hit the ground. And so I let out that scream. And then the second you came up to me and you complimented me, it gave me the confidence that I needed to last the next two weeks at this camp and get something out of it. Because if things had gone the way that they were going up until that point, I probably wouldn't have talked to another person at this whole camp, because I thought I was nobody. I was just a guy who came from a small town and who was taking 2 weeks off from the hardware store to come and live out his fantasies. And then a guy I didn't even know comes up to me and says, I think you're as good as Shifty Shell Shock from Crazy Town. And it changed my whole perspective for the 2 weeks. You probably saw. You only knew me after the confidence boost. You didn't know me before. So you probably saw me as like, oh my God, this guy's crazy. It's Crazy Town. He'll go up to anybody. Right. He'll go say hello. He'll start doing a duet with anybody and just like kind of go in and do a bad rap along with them. Yeah, I mean, it was like, insane, I'm sure.
Even you just talking right now, like this explanation, I'm like, I don't even know who this person is who Brett's talking about. You know what I mean? Like, because all I know is the Brett / Shifty from Crazy Town, Demott. You know what I mean? See, I only know you.
And I was going to say, I'm glad you brought this up because I remember when the sort of final recital, when it finally got rescheduled, they extended the camp for 1 day so that they could fix the power and we could do the final recital. And when I had you and what was the other guy's name sit in playing bass with us? What was his name? God.
Flogger.
When Flogger and you and I did our little 3-piece, and I was on the drums, and I decided I was going to sing, and we played.
Rest in peace, Flogger, by the way. Rest in peace.
Flogger, I'll tell you this, Flogger was one of the best bass players that I've ever heard in my entire life. Honestly, better than Flea, better than the bassist from POD. Better than Fieldy from Korn.
I mean, honestly, he's probably turning over in his grave if he'd heard you say that. He knows. Yeah. There's no way he would ever think that he was better than the bassist from POD.
I mean, that was a stretch. He's definitely.
He would play that song. He would play it live every night before he went to sleep.
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you this. A lot of people will sit here and they'll say the bass lines in POD songs are very simple. They just kind of follow the root notes and the chords. But that's the kind of stuff that made Flogger like push himself even harder, is because everybody would always say bass is easy. It's the instrument that people play when they don't have the patience to learn regular guitar. That's what everybody would always say.
Right.
Bassists are hobbyists. Right. They're not artists. And Flogger would say absolutely not. He would. Yeah, he would go out there, and I'll tell you this. You thought Fieldy from Korn had a clacky bass sound. You've never heard a bass that sounds more like hitting 2 pieces of wood together than if you've heard Flogger playing his bass, man.
Brett, you want to know a secret?
Oh, of course.
So, Flogger's funeral, I didn't go to the actual ceremony because,
me either.
Being kind of implemented in the way that he died, his family was a little bit upset with me. Mm-hmm. So, after the fact, after they had
because we should say you were responsible for his death. Okay, not in a legal sense, but you a lot of people pointed fingers at you, and thought that you were responsible for the power surge that caused his death.
Right. I mean, right. They
Yeah.
think that they feel like somehow that I was responsible for him, and I don't think so.
I don't either.
I say, hey, who stands in a puddle of piss, when a power surge is going through? You know what I mean? And a lot of people say that piss probably happened as he was getting electrocuted, and I say we don't know that. We don't know that.
Yeah, I mean,
we don't know that.
Yeah, there's no way to know. And here's the thing: I'm using this defense in my current trial that I'm on. If there's no way to know, then we can't know, and nobody can prove that. Yeah, we can't know. We weren't there. If you weren't there, you can't know, and that's just it.
Right.
But it is very unfortunate that Flogger died. He was a good guy,
and all I can say is this. Once they buried him, and obviously they buried him with all his worldly possessions, they buried him, and then me and a guy that I met on the street who, he wanted a little money for, to get a little bit of the weed or a little bit of the drink, whatever. I said, all right, man, I'll give you some money for $20, but you have to help me bury something up.
Wait, hang on.
Dug up Flogger's grave.
Wait, okay, there's a lot to unpack here.
And guess what base I got, baby?
Oh, my God.
I got Flogger's base.
Oh, my God. You have Flogger's base. That's insane.
I took his base right out of his coffin.
Hang on.
Out of his coffin.
I mean, Spimmy, that feels illegal. That feels really illegal.
He's dead. And people don't know our relationship, so he would have wanted me to have his base.
I mean,
he would
have
wanted
disagree.
me to dig up his grave and take the base out of his bony, kind of decrepit hands. And he had a real grip on it.
Right, right. And listen, I've heard the recording that you played for everybody when this came up. You have a recording that you played that said that was quote unquote his voice saying it's okay for Spimmy to dig me up and take my base out of my coffin. And a lot of people said that the voice on the tape did not sound at all like Flogger. Sounded like, they say it sounded a lot like you. But again, you can't know because it's just audio. It's just audio. You can't know.
It's just audio. And believe me, everybody, I was surprised. I was just as surprised when I found it. Like when I found it, I was like, where did this come from? It's like he left it for me in like one of my, piles and piles of like tapes or something, like, and that's how I knew, like, man, like me and him were kindred spirits. I think me and you have a really strong connection and a really strong relationship, and me and Flogger also had one of those. So, when he mysteriously died at band camp, and then when they wanted to bury his stuff with him, and he left me that message, I guess he was like, because Flogger, everyone always said Flogger always was one step ahead. So it's almost like he knew he was going to die. Like, if anything, it could have been a suicide. Just saying out there, just so all the lawyers and the judges out there, just saying.
Right. He could have pissed himself into a puddle on purpose, knowing that there would be electricity that came around.
Right.
And it's possible. And that's the thing that I feel like every lawyer and every judge needs to know. Anything is possible. So stop acting like crazy stories are impossible, because crazy stuff has happened. I mean, it's just reality. So stop trying to act like something crazy can't happen, because it can't.
I think it's just in this world. You know it because you do your little talk thing, and I make music. You know what I mean? And we have this creative mind, so we can understand that, and we've seen some stuff. Things happen. And these people that sit up in their little fucking court cubes, they can only think of it about in life from numbers and zeros. But I don't think of numbers and zeros.
No,
I barely can count.
Yeah.
All I think about, I think about life as just.
I was gonna bring up that you can barely count, because it was very difficult to start songs when you were in the band.
Right.
Somebody would start counting in, and we'd go 1, 2, 3, 4, and you just look up and go,
Well, because to me that just doesn't like. That's not rock and roll, man. It's not. I'm up on stage. I'm not in math class.
Yeah, you're about feeling. You're about feeling.
So I just jump in there, and then once it's ready to go, it's ready to go. Or my favorite method, catch up. You guys catch up to me. Catch up to me.
I feel like that was one of the notes, because part of this band camp was you do performances, and sort of everybody would sort of critique your performances. And a lot of people, we would sort of be paired up with people who play each of the rock instruments. So it'd be a guitar player, a drummer, a bassist, sometimes a keyboardist. And you would learn a song, and then you play it in front of everybody, and they give you constructive criticism. And a lot of the criticism that we got in our little sort of pod was, it feels like the top of every song is a little chaotic, but then once you guys find the pocket, it's gold. But that usually would take about 30, 45 seconds, and we'd kind of have to really make a lot of intense eye contact and start bobbing our heads, and then eventually we'd sort of find it.
Right. I mean, that's something that I dub the Spimi sound, you know, and you get a lot of the Spimi sound live. And for a lot of my fans, they say ultimately, you know, that is the difference between my live albums and my recorded albums. You know, the Spimi sound, that kind of chaotic, like where we at, what notes are we doing, what's the speed of the song, what's the tempo, that we don't get. Like, you know, a lot of producers kind of want to, you know, shed that off. You know, that's why for my next project, you know, whenever we got this COVID situation, like my next project, I just, you know, I want to make sure that like I'm bringing that Spimi sound to it, you know.
Right,
like,
you're producing your own. You're producing the whole album yourself, right?
Yes, me and my grandma.
Oh, your grandma's getting involved.
Yeah, she's just kind of producing like more on the monetary side.
Oh, okay,
you know,
exactly. She's like an executive producer.
Yeah. She has no say in what goes on the record or what it sounds like.
Now, does your grandma play any musical instruments? I don't know if we've ever talked about this.
Oh, yes. My grandma, she used to play the organ in church.
I was gonna say that feels like a very grandma specific.
Yeah. She used to play the organ in church. Then she lost the use of her fingers, and so she couldn't play the organ anymore.
Now that's really
but her musical spirit lives within me. You know
right.
what I mean? Like,
and now you didn't have anything to do with her losing the use of her fingers, did you?
Look, a lot of my family members would tell you differently, but that's just because a lot of my family members are haters, and they want to see me fail, and they don't like to see a successful rock star because, you know, they're not that. They're like money managers and just other managers and like top car salesmen and real estate agents and all this type of stuff, you know, all these stupid jobs, you know, and they see me and they're mad because they can't live their life as freely as I can. So they would say something different.
Yeah,
but
they blame you for the maiming of your grandmother.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, nope, wasn't me.
Right.
And if she still could speak, she would tell you the same thing.
Now, I'm unfamiliar with all of the circumstances surrounding your grandmother's accident. But
right. Oh. Yeah,
but there are a lot of things that do point to you being involved. I know that I heard that, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but this is just what I've heard through the grapevine. I've heard that you were loading into a gig, and your grandma, as your sort of live producer as well, was helping you load in some gear. And you were kind of doing how people do, where you was kind of stacking stuff on her arms. She was like this, and you were just stacking all your gear on her like a sort of Tetris game.
And mind you, at the time, she was very much being like, put a little bit more, baby. Put a little bit more, baby. Put a little bit more, baby, because my grandma was very strong.
Right. And yeah. And so she had a stack of all your gear, your amp. As we've seen, you have a lot of guitars. You travel with a lot of guitars. Your huge pedal board.
Even if I'm only playing like one or two. I mean, what's funny is like more of my live shows now, I make sure to play at least a little bit with all my instruments that I bring, because otherwise, why bring them? You know, even if it kind of changes the texture of the song, like I have to, you know, it's like I have to play them.
Yeah,
People
the solution.
I have a bunch of instruments that I play.
Yeah, the solution is not to bring less guitars. It's to just use all of your guitars for a little bit.
Yeah. See, Brett, that's why me and you, great minds, baby. Great minds.
And not to continue the story about what happened with your grandmother, though, she was carrying in all of this equipment into a dark club, and you were sort of directing her like somebody on like a tarmac for an airplane, just sort of like bringing her into the venue. And you, according to some,
arms free, bring it in.
You, according to some, neglected to inform her that there was a stair in front of her.
I mean, and that's the problem. I feel like when I'm like, come on, take a step up. Like, to me, that's pretty much just like, hey, there's a step there. So, and, like I said, if she could talk still, she would agree. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm not going to come down on either side of this one because, again, as you've said many times, there's no way to know. There's no way to know. The security camera footage from the club was conveniently not available that evening. I know people were trying to get a hold of the tapes, but there was no way to get any of the tapes.
Yeah.
And as you said, your grandma's nonverbal.
Somebody apparently overloaded the electrical circuits, with one huge surge or something, pretty much ruining any type of recording material and most of the stuff in the club. Singeing a lot of the stuff in the club.
Like the cops are saying that it was the equivalent of a military grade EMP blast, an electromagnetic pulse.
Right.
That sort of took down every piece of electronic equipment within a mile vicinity of this club, which people are already saying seems excessive for anything that a regular person could sort of make happen. Right. So already you're off the hook, if you ask me. Right. You don't have a military-grade EMP, do you?
No. I mean, yes, I have a pedal, EMP pedal. You know what I mean? But that's different. And I always keep that on low. I always keep it on low. So, And with my grandma's accident, I can tell you like this. She was down and out when, everything happened. I could tell, not by how she would say something to me, because obviously she couldn't speak at the moment. She bit her tongue off. But about how, I could just tell by her energy. It was different. She wasn't making me breakfast the same way that she used to, she wasn't, coming and waking me up in the morning. She wasn't, doing any other type of stuff that she did before. But it wasn't until I named one of my guitars after her.
No kidding. Let's see it.
It wasn't until I named one of my guitars after
Bridget.
Bridget's my grandmother's name. And it wasn't until I named one of my guitars after her that she decided that that was the thing that really brought her spirits back up.
So this is a happy ending, folks. I know a lot of people were watching and they were sitting there thinking, oh, this seems sad. It seems like this man hurt his grandma. But he just proved it, folks. So anybody who's worried,
right?
He just gave us proof that everything's fine. He named his guitar Bridget after his grandma, and her spirits were then high. Up until that point, she was down, but now her spirits are high. So that's the end of the story, folks.
Exactly. It's almost like the same. It's almost like the same grandma beforehand, except without the use of her fingers and without being able to talk. So, other than that, same grandma.
Grandma's grandmas aren't even about fingers anyway. Who cares about their grandma's fingers? I've never once thought, man, I think my grandma has great fingers. It's just never come up. So I think anybody who's obsessing about that is
and even I think that that's too far. I'm a rock star, and I think that's too far. Get out,
right.
You're thinking about your grandma's fingers? Pervert.
Well, geez. I mean, Spimmy, we're about out of time here, man. And I'll tell you this. It was really great catching up with you. And I know for a fact, everybody out there who's thinking Spimmy has ever done anything wrong, you just got to know he's a good guy and he's a rock star. He's a rock star, and that justifies everything that's ever happened in his whole life.
I mean, read any book about rock stars, and you'll see that, everybody's been through trials and tribulations.
Exactly.
And I've been doing this for a long time, and, and Brett, when I was at camp, I was a very staunch, I'm a guitar guy. Mm-hmm. People would try to come up to me, and they would try to do acoustic stuff, and I'd be like, get that shit out of here. You know what I mean? I don't, if I can't crank it, then I don't want it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you actually punched a hole into Charlie Puth's acoustic guitar, didn't you? He was there for one of the days of the thing. You punched a hole into his acoustic guitar.
Yeah, don't forget. I mean, don't tell the whole story if you're gonna tell it. I punched a hole in his thing, and then I called him a pussy. Tell the whole story so everyone knows. Rockstar.
You said, okay.
Rockstar.
Spimmy said Charlie Puth, more like Charlie Puthy. And I thought it was really funny because there's such a funny pun on his last name.
Right. Brett was the one that let me know that was a pun.
Yeah.
I just said it weird. I just said pussy weird, and somehow it just like, I guess I was thinking of his name and also the other word, and I said it like that, just like off my mind. And he let me know that the mixture of those two was a thing called a pun.
Yeah. And so that's my legacy in Spimi Hednrix's life, is that I taught Spimi Hednrix what a pun is. And we got along great at camp. But Spimi, I'm going to let you go here in a second, man. But I just wanted to say it's been a real pleasure chatting with you, man, and catching back up, because it's been too long since we got to chat. I miss the days when we could shred together, man.
Hey, Brett, you and me both, man. And just know, man, the new album, I've been, since this whole COVID-19 situation, I've been, working on other stuff. And like I said, if I had electricity, I could play a little bit of something for you, some from my new stuff. Like I've been learning some electric mandolin.
Okay.
So like that's why I've been doing some of these things. I've been learning a little bit of the electric flute. You know what I mean? Like another style of electric flute.
I feel like I wish I'd given you more time to talk about instruments that you were playing these days, because it does seem like you sure have a lot at the ready.
Right. Yeah. Like I guess this whole room is just, ready to go if, the electricity could serve me.
Oh,
but
man.
Once we're back out there, man,
hey,
I'm gonna tell you right now, man, like once everything is open and like we can get back out there and gig, man, I'm gonna let you know, because I can tell you right now, we're gonna have a lot of fun. We're gonna party. We're gonna do a lot of music. Hey man, you might want to dust off the old chops there, because if you come to one of my concerts, I might call you up on stage. You know how I do.
Hey, I'll hit it. I'll smack a little hi-hat for you, buddy. No
hey,
chance
man, I might
I'm
call you
turn
back
that
up
down.
there, because I can tell you one thing. Once we're done, after the end of the show, we're gonna be dealing with 19s. But
Okay.
they won't be COVID-19s. You
No,
know what
we're
I
not.
mean, Brett?
You
You know
know
what I'm talking about.
I have
you know
no
what
interest.
I'm talking about, Brett.
I have no
Rockstar.
interest. I have no
Rockstar.
interest in that part of the story, Spimmy. I have absolutely no interest in that part of the story, but I do have an interest in you as a friend and a person that I will continue to say hello to frequently into the future. But I'm going to let you go here. Thank you so much for being on the show today, Spimmy. It's been a blast chatting with you, man. And let us all know when the album drops. Maybe I'll have you back on the show to play us through the album a little bit when the album drops.
Oh, 100%, everybody. Just remember, come, my lady. Come, my lady. You're my brother, sugar, baby. That's right, baby. Everyone keep it up. Throw your hands up. Keep it up. Flogger, rest in peace. We love you. And just remember that, life is but a dream. But if it's not, woo, ah!
That's perfect. All right, you take it easy, Spimmy. Oh, yeah, folks and soaks, thank you all so much, and thank you to my good friend Spimi Hednrix. I'm surprised a lot of this stuff never came up before, especially about how my dream was to be compared to Shifty Shellshock from Crazy Town. That's a big part of my personality that I've never really discussed before. So now that you know, it's the truth for all of the future. But folks, thank you so much, as always, for tuning in to another episode of How You Been. I will be back here next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Pacific time. Remember, I base all the times on the Pacific for no reason other than because I like the time more there. I don't know. But folks, thank you as always. If you enjoyed the show and you got $1 to spare, please throw $1 into the donation pot. All your donations will go to support the struggling artist Spimi Hednrix as he fights his way through, as he put it, COVID-19. Because we know that it's been hard for musicians these days. So if you got $1 to spare, type !donate into the chat. A link will show up. You click that link, you can throw $1 into the pot, and that money will go straight to Spimi to keep him afloat until the end of all this crap. But folks, thank you so much. Another update coming next week on the whole situation with the court case. If you want to come to the court and do a sketch, feel free to do that and then send it to me at How You Been Show. I have so much hair in my face and my mouth. Send your sketches to me at howyoubenshow@gmail.com, and I will show them on the show to give everybody an idea what's going on in the court case. But folks, thank you truly from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate every single one of you guys for being here every week. It's a real pleasure. It's nice to always have people here watching. And I'll be back next week for another one. But until then, Brett, out.